Have you ever felt claustrophobic? That feeling of being squeezed with no escape? Now imagine that feeling amplified 1,000 times. Imagine being trapped deep within the earth, wedged upside down in a passage so tight you can barely breathe. This isn't a horror movie plot. This is the true story of John Edward Jones and his final 28 hours in what became known as the Nutty Putty Cave. Our story begins on November 24, 2009, the day before Thanksgiving. 26-year-old John Jones, a medical student and experienced caver, decided to explore the Nutty Putty Cave in Utah with his brother, Josh, and a group of friends and family. It was meant to be a fun, adventurous outing before the holiday festivities. John was a loving husband and father, with another baby on the way. He was full of life, always seeking the next challenge. For him, caving was a passion he'd shared with his family since childhood. The group entered the cave around 8 p.m. Nutty Putty was famous for its tight, winding passages, named for the soft, putty-like clay found inside. It was a popular spot for amateur cavers, but it had its dangers. The plan was to explore a section known as the Big Slide and then head back. Along the way, John decided to find a notoriously tight passage called the Birth Canal. He believed he had found it and started to inch his way in, headfirst. This was his first mistake. He hadn't found the birth canal. He had crawled into an uncharted, unmapped fissure. He pushed himself forward, wiggling through the narrow space. The passage sloped downwards, and gravity pulled him further in. Soon he realized he was stuck. The space was barely 10 inches across and 18 inches high, smaller than the opening of a washing machine. He was completely wedged. He tried to squirm backward, but the angle was too steep, and the rock held him like a vice. He was trapped, upside down, over 100 feet below the surface. Panic began to set in. He called out to his brother, Josh. Josh was the first to find him, seeing only John's feet sticking out of the narrow crevice. He tried to pull him, but John was jammed tight. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Josh scrambled back to the surface to call for help. The clock was ticking. The nightmare had begun. Within an hour, the first rescuer, a volunteer named Susie, arrived. She was small enough to crawl down the tight passage to reach John. She found him calm, but clearly in distress. He'd been upside down for over 3 hours. All the blood was rushing to his head, putting immense pressure on his brain and vital organs. His breathing was labored. Susie talked to him, trying to keep his spirits up. She told him, "We're going to get you out." John's response was simple, "I really want to get out." Soon, a full-scale rescue operation was underway. Over 100 volunteers from the Utah County Sheriff's Office search and rescue team swarmed the cave entrance. The situation was incredibly complex. The passage John was in was not only tight, but also extremely difficult to access. Rescuers had to navigate a series of winding, narrow tunnels just to get close to him. The first plan was simple: pull him out. They tied a rope around his ankles and tried to haul him free, but the angle was all wrong. Pulling him just wedged him deeper into the V-shaped crack. Every pull caused John excruciating pain. They needed a new plan. The rescuers decided to use a system of pulleys and ropes to get a better angle. This was a complex engineering feat that had to be assembled deep inside the earth, in the most cramped conditions imaginable. Rescuers worked in shifts, their bodies contorted in the tight spaces. They brought in drills to try and widen the rock around John, but the vibrations and falling debris made it too dangerous. All this time, John was suspended upside down. His body was under incredible strain. His heart was working overtime to pump blood against gravity, and his lungs were being crushed by the weight of his own organs. Yet, he remained remarkably calm. He spoke with the rescuers, talked about his wife Emily and his children. At one point, they managed to pass him a radio so he could speak directly to his wife, who was waiting anxiously at the cave entrance. He told her he loved her and that he was sorry. She reassured him, telling him to keep fighting. Hours turned into a grueling day. The rescue team finally had the pulley system in place. This was their best shot. They attached the ropes and began to pull. For a moment, it seemed to be working. John's body moved. He was sliding upwards, out of the crevice. Hope surged through the rescue team. They had him. He was almost free, then disaster. A loud snap echoed through the narrow passage. One of the main anchor points in the rock wall had failed under the immense strain. The equipment collapsed, and John slid all the way back down, even deeper into the crack than before. The sound of the failing rig was the sound of hope shattering. The lead rescuer, who was closest to John, knew instantly that this was a catastrophic failure. The fall had been traumatic for John. His condition rapidly deteriorated. He was having more and more trouble breathing, and his responses became weaker. The rescuers, exhausted and heartbroken, knew their options were running out. Being upside down for so long is something the human body simply cannot endure. The constant pressure on his brain and organs was becoming fatal. A doctor was finally able to get close enough to assess him. The news was grim. John was unresponsive. His breathing was shallow. There was nothing more they could do. Pulling him out would now be a body recovery, not a rescue, and it would put more lives at risk. After 28 agonizing hours trapped upside down, John Edward Jones passed away late in the evening on November 25th, just before midnight. The official cause was cardiac arrest, brought on by the prolonged pressure on his body. The rescuers, the family, and the entire community were devastated. They had fought so hard with so much ingenuity and courage, but the cave had won. In the aftermath, a difficult decision had to be made. Extracting John's body was deemed too dangerous. It would require extensive use of explosives and could cause the unstable cave to collapse, endangering the recovery team. With the family's blessing, authorities decided to seal the Nutty Putty cave permanently, with John's body inside. It became his final resting place. Today, a plaque is mounted at the entrance, honoring his memory. The cave is filled with concrete, a permanent tomb that serves as a stark reminder of the unforgiving power of nature. John's story is a tragedy, but it's also a story of incredible human spirit. The bravery of the more than 137 rescuers who worked tirelessly in impossible conditions is a testament to the best of humanity. And John himself, who faced an unimaginable end with courage and thoughts for his family, reminds us of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. His legacy lives on through his family and through the story that cautions and inspires adventurers everywhere. Thanks for watching. If you found this story moving, please like the video and subscribe for more incredible true stories. Stay safe out there.